Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
Welcome to Radio AMB, designed for those who want to live a long and vibrant life. I'm Patty Schmucker, who's been in the industry for over 40 years. Radio AMB, which stands for American Made Beauty, is where we tell the secrets behind the making of health and beauty products. Our segment sponsor today is AmericanMadeBeauty.com, a beauty platform designed to help consumers find beauty companies that are implementing the industry's best practices to bring you quality products and services. Go to AmericanMadeBeauty.com to find products that reflect an American heritage. If you'd like to sample some of our beauty brands, click on the consumer page and sign up for your free AMB box, customized with brands that you can try selected just for you. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of bringing to you a gentleman who's been in the industry just as long as I have, and he is the most famous hairdresser you've never heard of. David Kinigson is of the David K. Space Salon and Academy and Mode IQ Education. And he's been leading hairdressers and the thinking around how beauty is defined for many years. In our feature segment, we'll take a little bit of a dive into his background and find out how he has gotten to where he is today. And we will look at the foundation of how he has influenced the industry and has been at the center of a lot of key movements that have happened in the industry. Throughout our interview today, we're just going to have a very organic conversation to find out what were some of the motivations that drove him to be in part of the business, some of the great companies he's been involved in, a journey that allowed him to leave the business, the industry, and came back, and some of the interesting things that he's developed as he provides education for some of the top hairdressers around the world in cutting hair. As we end up at the final segment for the show, we will be talking with David a little bit about the direction of beauty, his vision for what's happening in the industry, and how people can connect to his vision. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest. David is a New York City hairdresser and internationally known renowned salon owner, and also a top fashion magazine and celebrity stylist, author, television personality, consultant, spokesperson, celebrity educator, magazine editor, art director, and Renaissance artist. It's all very exciting, the type of work that he has done, and has really had a lifelong passion of excellence in beauty to empower other people. He's dedicated his career to the quest for the perfect haircut as well as a transformable salon experience. I'd like to welcome you, David. It's just an honor to have you with us today.
Well, thanks, Patty. It's really my honor to be on American Made Beauty. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, David, most of the time when we have guests that come on with such a formidable career as you've had, the first question that many people ask is, did you know that you always wanted to be a hairdresser?
I did not. I was not of that ilk. I didn't grow up in a creative or an artistic family. And I did not know that I wanted to be a hairdresser. It wasn't something that I gravitated to. In fact, my first love was literature, and reading and writing are among my earliest memories.
And so the passion around writing, did that sort of start your career? Did you go in a certain direction in pursuit of a writing career?
Yeah, that's really where I started out. I was in college and I was writing poetry. I was doing rather well after having done really poorly in high school. I really couldn't keep myself focused. But when I went into college, I really started to focus on my writing. I was working at a bank as a teller, and I was doing these Las Vegas nights and working as a croupier, and I was kind of like all over the place. And when I realized that if my writing didn't sell, if my poetry didn't sell, I was going to be an English teacher. I kind of took pause because all of my cousins were college graduates and they were teachers. And while I didn't think anything bad of it, I saw that maybe there was something else for myself. And I'm known in my family as the breakout creative. One day I was just getting my hair cut at a unisex place, and I looked around, and it just seemed like these guys were having a blast. It didn't seem like this was work. And so I asked the guy cutting my hair, I'll never forget him, Robbie, at Shear Shack, way deep out on Long Island. Mm-hmm. I asked him, how do you become a hair cutter? And he said, go to beauty school, get a license, and you're a hair cutter. And my only self-doubt was, what if I didn't have talent? And he said that he knew I had written poetry and that I'd studied acting and dance. And he said, don't worry about it. You're creative. You'll have talent. And it was truly the best guidance counseling I ever got. And so my first experience of the importance of what a hairdresser can do was my hair cutter, Robbie, and the difference he'd made in my life.
So he really, he set you on a path that gave you an opportunity to really find something that you loved. It was very exciting to know that is really the influence that many hairdressers are able to have, people who are touching people and connecting with them. What was it about the beauty? I heard you say that it's the energy, and you didn't want to have something that was a career, but was there other things in the salon environment that really was exciting for you?
Yeah, there were women everywhere, and for someone who couldn't play a musical instrument, so I really couldn't be the lead guitarist in a rock and roll band at that time. Being a hairdresser, or actually at that time, in that era, in the early to mid 70s, when I grew up as a baby in the hair industry, I was part of a new movement called hair cutters, mm-hmm. and I was really enthralled by the idea that I could give a woman a haircut and she could feel great about herself. And that was when I really began what you referred to earlier as my quest for the perfect haircut. And not long after that, maybe a few months later, based on taking a personal growth program, I began to see the importance of the environment we worked in and the environment that the clients came to, and I began to call that a transformed salon experience. So it started early in my career.
And so tell us a little bit about, I'm going to ask you a little bit about those two things in just a second, but for our audience, tell us a little bit about what the David K. Space Salon and Academy is and Mode IQ Education.
Sure. Well, that's really, really great. Thanks for that. My salon is the second salon that I've owned. It's called the David K. Space Salon and Academy. It's in West Palm Beach, Florida. The first salon I owned was in New York. During the 90s, it was called Salon Dada and Dada Academy. And at the David K. Space, we specialize in couture haircuts. Everyone is trained in my mode of cutting hair, which is a wet precision mode and a dry cutting mode. And you can't cut hair at the David K. Space just because you came from somewhere else. You've got to be oriented to our mode and taught the principles of that. We always do beautiful short and mid-length haircuts, but we're really proud of the fact that we specialize in long hair haircuts for long-haired girls. And so we do fabulous long-haired girls where they don't leave crying because we cut less for a greater effect. And we teach those principles at the academy, and that's where Mode IQ Education comes in. Mode IQ Education for the thinking hairdresser is a comprehensive curriculum that covers foundation skills and what we call secrets of precision and dry movement cutting, and specialty skills like long hair cutting, as I mentioned, and corrective hair cutting, along with the classics, what we call legacy series. So we teach even more classes than that in our Mode IQ Education curriculum. And we offer programs at the Academy, as well as I go on the road with my educators, and we teach in your salon. And recently I've been doing a lot of conferences and a lot of lecturing and being a keynote speaker, which really gives me an opportunity to do a TED Talk for hundreds of hairdressers, and that's really, really exciting.
So, and when you're thinking about the journey that's led you to create some of these unique approaches, your mode of cutting hair, the Secrets to Precision and the Legacy series, what were some of the inspirations along the line in your journey that helped you develop some of that thinking?
Well, right from beauty school, I was really fortunate to go to a very good beauty school. My longest lasting, my long-standing friend from beauty school is Mary Bernetti, a wonderful hairdresser, the first NAHA winner. We're friends to this day. And I just started right out by seeking out the best hair cutters I could find. And I devoted the first 7 years of my career to seeking them out. It began with Gary and Vito, and I quickly moved past them to the two mentors of my foundation, which is Nicholas Natural and Lucian Cirillo, who are also the inspiration behind the original Mode IQ. And they've been an influence on my life for 40 years. And they taught me, they had just come from Sassoon. I was a hair cutter on Long Island, and I was 20 years old, and they had just left Sassoon, having worked with some of the heavies of the Silver Era, like Christopher Brooker and Roger Thompson and Howard Fugler, and I just latched onto them like a leech. I was on them like you couldn't believe it, and I sucked up everything I could in how to cut hair. And then I began my own thinking, and I really began to think beyond the things I was taught. By the time I'd gotten to Vidal Sassoon on Fifth Avenue, I'd already cut hair really well, and it took many, many times of interviewing to get accepted at Vidal Sassoon because they didn't know if they were going to be able to break me down. And they were right, but I did manage to get the first of 2 jobs at Vidal Sassoon. And my formative career, the first 7 years, I worked with everybody from Roger Thompson to Howard Fugler to Bernard Verano, some of the greatest artistic directors, Alan Vernon Teach, Graham Wren, Mary Lou Green. It was amazing. It was the greatest conglomeration of hair cutters in New York. We had hairdressers from London there, and that's where I got my formative precision training. I did exhibit early signs of rebelliousness on the precision mode when I introduced dry cutting at a class night at Vidal Sassoon, and as everyone knows, there is no dry cutting in wet precision geometric hair cutting. At least not then, there wasn't.
Right.
So I had a great formative period from 1973 on through to 1980, when after I left Sassoon, because I'd gotten fired for shaving my eyebrows, I went underground, and then I began my career in New York City as an underground hair cutter and an editorial artist working for the magazines.
So you got fired from Sassoon because you shaved your eyebrows?
Yes, it was. Yes.
An entirely different time, right?
It was a crazy different time, you know. But it granted me a certain kind of infamy, but a certain kind of fame. It's really the good definition of notoriety. I was famous instantaneously in the underground fashionista music scene down at the Mud Club. I was instantaneously famous as David, the guy who got fired from Vidal Sassoon for shaving my eyebrows. And I had just gotten my hair cut one Saturday night by my good friend, mentor, and artistic director, Alan Vernon Keach, and he gave me this cool haircut. And I was watching David Bowie on Saturday Night Live, and I was inspired once again by his androgynous alien nature, and I went into the bathroom, shaved my eyebrows, and it was a statement for male grooming for the coming decade. At the time, it wasn't well received at Vidal Sassoon on Fifth Avenue. It was kind of a very corporate time,
right.
And that kind of bold creativity was a little bit of a rocking of the boat, and it saddened me to get fired, but it also was a catalyst into the next part of my career, which was my own private education, teaching people, and becoming well known through editorial.
And developing your own, taking those formidable lessons and starting to develop your own approach. Tell us a little bit about you said the dry precision mode of haircutting. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, my foundation is traditional wet precision haircutting. I took that to a new level by introducing a method called the plane blending method of haircutting, where there was an emphasis on the natural growth patterns of the hair and the head shape in such a way that you could create couture haircuts, individually created haircuts. And my method also began to introduce dry cutting. And in a wet precision mode, in a paradigm, in a dogmatic school of thought, you can only do what the school of thought allows you to do. In any dogma. So if you are trained in the dogma of Vidal Sassoon, there's nothing wrong with that dogma. It's just that you can't do anything else but what the dogma or paradigm allows for. And I saw the value early on in my career of dry haircutting, and I began to develop dry haircutting techniques like reverse graduation and point-to-point, flirting with precision, X-blending, and it was very systematic. This is not to be confused with cleaning up the line, taking out some weight, or texturizing. These are really, really valid techniques in haircutting, and unlike other dogmatic thinkers where if you're in the wet mode, you teach wet, and if you're in the dry mode, you teach dry, I saw the value of both dry interior and dimensional movement cutting and precision cutting. So we like to say at the David K space, and when we teach, that we cut hair both wet and dry, and how much we cut wet or dry really depends on the haircut that I'm doing, the woman that I'm doing it on, the style that I'm cutting, and then I make an educated determination of how much I should cut wet, how much I should cut dry, or if it's going to be exclusively dry. And then we teach those in our curriculum.
And so is that an artistic expression, or is there a predictable outcome that you can achieve from cutting wet as compared to cutting dry?
It's the same in both in terms of the predictable outcome. Most of us would agree that you want to have a final shape or a desired result as your outcome in your mind's eye, and that should be determined based on consultation with the woman. I call that final shape is a relative function of based on the I misspoke. The final shape, as agreed upon in consultation with a woman, is a relative function of hair, the hair you're working on, the features of the woman and her head shape, and the techniques that you have at your disposal. Mm-hmm. And so you do have a final shape in mind, but then there's the human element, which is, did the hair respond the way you wanted it to? Do you see something else that might look a little bit better? So it's predictable in one regard, mm-hmm. because there are certain things that are tried and true and it's going to happen. And then there's a certain kind of relative phenomenon based on the human beings that are involved in the process of creating a haircut or a hairstyle.
Right, right. Now, you mentioned that part of the emphasis of your education, that you have a specialty with women who wear their hair long. It seems a little counterintuitive that there's a hair cutting method for long hair.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. Long-haired girls have been an overlooked market in terms of coming in for haircuts because we always make them cry. And so they don't pre-book their appointments. And that's because there are, there's a certain, one, not listening skills of that need to be developed in the consultation, and two, having more techniques that lend themselves to long hair than the traditional techniques of layering. Traditional techniques of layering will wind up cutting more hair than most women want cut, and being able to cut less for greater effect based on an effective consultation that you have with a woman will ensure that you will exceed their expectations, and they'll pre-book their next appointment. And that's a rare phenomenon for the long-haired girl who mostly gets one haircut a year at best.
Right.
So
all right, well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to hear a little bit more about these innovative techniques that David is using and learn about some of the adventures he's had along the way. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Shh. Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
What does HealthyLife.net and Amazon.com have in common? Well, they're both available on the Internet. They both give great value. But most important, most of our positive program hosts and guests are accomplished authors, and their books are available from, you got it, Amazon.com. Now, it even gets better than that, because when you're listening on air to a HealthyLife.net host or guest, you can go directly to Amazon.com, and you can order your book while you're still listening to your favorite HealthyLife.net program. So when you hear an author you like, go to the homepage of HealthyLife.net and click on Amazon.com.
Where positive people and radio unite. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. We're here at Radio AMB. I'm Patty Schmucker, your host, and we are here with David Kinigson of the David K. Space Salon, and we are talking a little bit about his career, that he's been so influential over his career in being able to work with some of the top talent in the New York area and the beauty industry, as well as being able to create his own concepts of how he approaches hair. So, David, you talked a little bit about being able to create techniques for cutting long hair, and it sounds like you've had a lot of success along the way, but at one point you made a decision to sort of leave the industry. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to say my name correctly so that the listening people out there, the audience, can find me on Instagram and Facebook. It's David Kinigson, Kinigson. It's a tough one, Patty.
Yeah,
Kinigson.
I apologize. And pronounce it and spell it one more time.
Yeah, David Kinigson, Kinigson, and people can follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And to your question, by the time I had closed Salon Dada, and by the time I had closed my salon, I'd already had what I call my beautiful mind moment, and that's where I conceived the concept that's like the parent concept, the context for all the different things we've been talking about, and it's called Physical Hair, the Theory of Hair Relativity. And it incorporates advanced consultation skills, primarily skills of listening and giving the woman the experience that you've heard her in such a way that you draw your inspiration from that woman. And I call that being musified. So I had created techniques in hair cutting, both for wet and dry hair cutting. I've been developing more of an emphasis on dry hair cutting and the consultation skills. And I had just come off the road working for Artec, being the National Creative and Education Director, writing and directing their educational videos and scripting everything that was said on stage. And I had done that for a year, traveling around the country on the education circuit. And my then girlfriend at the time, a really fabulous songwriter and singer named Lauren Echo, she's like, why don't we just focus on our music? Why don't you retire? And you had a great career, and we could just play music, write songs. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And there we were in New York on the Lower East Side. And I, after about 25 years as a leading hair cutter and editorial artist working for the major magazines, and I'd written a book on hair cutting called The Haircutter's Handbook with a preface by Vidal Sassoon, which, by the way, this year marks the 30th anniversary, and at the beginning of the year it will be available, The Haircutter's Handbook, 30th Anniversary Edition. And I went into the music business, and I lived on the Lower East Side in a small basement apartment with Lauren, and we wrote songs, and we performed on the anti-folk scene, and I got the opportunity to work with the then unknown Regina Spektor and the Moldy Peaches and Paleface and Latch, and I was like a kid again all of a sudden. It was the coolest thing and the greatest gift anybody ever given me, and we did that for 2 years, and then Lauren started touring, and we thought that it would be great to move somewhere warm, and it was time for me to get a day job again, and I wound up accepting a position and relocating to Florida, where for the first little while I stayed on the DL, minded my P's and Q's, and built a clientele. And I've been in Florida for the last 15 years, and I'm still a musician.
Well, writing, so obviously you're writing songs. Are you playing an instrument?
Yeah, I write songs. I play guitar.
Okay.
I sing.
But you had mentioned, the reason I asked is you mentioned in the early segment that at that point you weren't a guitar player. So.
Oh, yeah.
You became a guitar player.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, like I said, when I was 11, I couldn't play guitar. I really wanted to play guitar. The music teacher would not teach me I Want to Hold Your Hand. He said I had to learn the Yellow Rose of Texas, and I got very angry. I threw the guitar at him, and I could never play guitar again for the next 20-some-odd years. And then one day, thanks to my transformational studies, I was able to have a breakthrough in my relationship to music and guitar playing, and I went out and bought a guitar, and now, 25 years later, I'm an accomplished songwriter. I've put out a CD, I've produced, and, Having a hairdresser is perhaps the greatest day job anyone could have. It really affords you a lot of opportunity, and if you study your craft and you develop yourself in other areas like personal growth, really pressing yourself to move through your challenges, you can really have a glorious career. You know, I started out as a hair cutter, wanting to be the best possible hair cutter I could be, on a quest for the perfect haircut. And that quest is haircut by haircut by haircut, woman by woman by woman. And then I wanted to share my thinking on haircutting with a lot of people. And though my career was in an analog era, and so that's why Palm Beach proper called me the most famous hair cutter you've never heard of, is because my career happened in an analog era, well before social media. But I did know at the time, even though there was no social media, that I could reach more people if I was well known. And that's why I worked for the magazines. I worked for Bazaar and Vogue and Elle and Allure and all of them so that I could get more well known, because the only real use for fame is the difference that you can make with it. And so your outreach gets larger when you are well known. So that's why I worked for the magazines. But my love was the cutting of the haircuts individually on each woman and sharing that knowledge of how to make a woman feel more beautiful and have a better sense of esteem for herself, as well as an expression of style, is really what drives me in the industry.
And it sounds like that in itself was that there was just a tremendous amount that you learned when you left the industry. Did that draw you back, that you realized that you really missed that part of it?
Yeah, one of the biggest things I learned being a recording artist and a performer is that I broke through a lot of fear performing in front of people. And when I reemerged as a hairdresser, I took that breakthrough in fear to really put out my philosophies and my techniques again. And I'm really, really thankful for being a member of Intercoiffure, because Intercoiffure has given me a platform to do some keynote addresses and present some creative presentations that allow me to reach a very, very large audience of young hairdressers, as well as people who are legends. And
right.
So that's just been a great gift these last few years.
Terrific. Well, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about Intercoiffure and learn about some of the various different programs that David is doing today. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need, from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
For all your live or pre-recorded webcasting needs, come to earthchannel.com. Get your web-based message out to a select group or the whole world. It's easy. A pioneer in webcasting, earthchannel.com provides the best products and services to big corporations and government users. And now this same technology is available to you. They have the best Earthcast encoders, servers, and products to meet your technical needs. But wait, don't want to mess with technical stress? No problem. They'll do it for you. EarthChannel.com is your answer. You can use webcasting for lots of things like advertising, marketing, customer support, training, and don't forget web radio and TV. In fact, you're listening to a live Earthcast right now. So come to EarthChannel.com. Actualize your audio or video webcasting needs today. You can't beat the friendly service or the price. Call EarthChannel.com at 1-800-849-8978. That's 1-800-849-8978.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap steak. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Radio your way. HealthyLife.net.
Welcome back. You're listening to Radio AMB on HealthyLife.net. I'm Patty Schmucker, and I'm here with David Kinigson of David K. Space Salon and Academy. And we've been talking about this amazing career that David has had, both in touching with some of the icons of our industry as well as contributing his own thought and creating his own methodology of the way that he approaches hair. David, tell us a little bit about, you mentioned in our last segment, Intercoiffure. Can you tell the audience a little bit about what is Intercoiffure and how that's played a role in inspiring you?
Absolutely. It gives me great pride to talk about Intercoiffure, and I'm proud to be a member. Intercoiffure is an international organization of top salons, and I belong to Intercoiffure North America. So my salon and I are members, and it's, as I said, a membership of top salons. And in the years that I've been a member, I was on the cutting council, as well as a founding member of the artistic team. And I've been on stage at every atelier since I've been a member. And the last few have been sponsored by a company called Artego Color. And I've been able to put on 3 presentations, one called Think Beautiful Thoughts, in Search of the Elusive Muse. And that's about being inspired by the woman who sits in your chair. The second one was Think Inside the Box, and it was about access to creative and inspirational thinking. And the last one was called Think Before You Post, Social Media is the New Street. And one of the cool things about Intercoiffure is no matter how inspiring, creative, avant-garde, cutting edge any of the things are that we might be watching from the audience or presenting up on stage, it's all for me about how it translates to real, wearable, salon-ready hair and practical techniques. So for me, I appreciate fantasy hair and all these different headpieces that are done. But if it doesn't translate into something that's inspiring to a hairdresser in a small town somewhere, so that they can make the women there look more beautiful, feel more beautiful, then it really was only half as good as it could be. So Intercoiffure really gives us a platform, gives me a platform to reach a lot of hairdressers and thereby a lot of women in America so that they can get better haircuts and also have a larger opportunity for expressing their sense of style or really having it peeled back and unconcealed by the hairdresser they work with.
It's so interesting, David, because from the concepts that you evolved around the mode of techniques for actually cutting hair to the very, very intensive consultation to the training that you do, it all seems to have a very present element to it, almost as if there's a spiritual path that you've been on. Does that play a major role in where some of this inspiration comes from?
Without a doubt, Patty, it is a spiritual path. It's one for me as a personal growth and introspection in challenging myself each time, each haircut throughout the days and months and weeks, years of my career. And it's about the woman. It's what Vidal Sassoon called the human element. And he said, for me, haircutting is architecture with a human element. And haircutting has been explored. The architecture of it has been explored. But the human element doesn't get as much attention. And like I said, that's the development of consultation skills. And when I went through the wet cutting and the dry cutting, I began to take it to other places, like the first time a woman gets her hair cut and what I call corrective hair cutting, and making the experience of the first time for that woman special by learning a few things that would press myself to really, find out what she wants. How come she didn't go back to the guy before and get her hair cut? So we have the art of corrective hair cutting in our curriculum, and the long-haired cutting, and understanding the traditional legacy haircuts, the classic haircuts, and giving them a respectful reinterpretation, making them more available for today's modern eye, and how to take those classic haircuts and make them more modern. But it really is a spiritual path. I said earlier in our conversation, Patty, that at the top of my career 43 years ago, I was also privy to personal growth programs. So I've been a hairdresser for 43 years, and I've been involved in transformational and ontological studies for the last 41 years. And what that has allowed me to do was everything from be the first hairdresser to stand in front of a client and talk to her face-to-face rather than talk to her in the mirror, and to develop techniques of listening and sincere duplication so that you give the client the experience that she's been heard, and then recognizing that if it didn't turn out the way that I expected it to, where either she wasn't as happy with it or I wasn't happy with it, it just wasn't as great as it could be. Rather than lie about it, rather than pretend it was her hair or some issue that was outside myself, I early on took on these two principles, and I like to share them with people when I teach, because it's really the only place that there's any power. And that is that when it didn't turn out the way you wanted to, you didn't get the desirable outcome, just consider that I didn't cut hair as good as I think I do, and I didn't consult the woman as good as I think I did. We can say it was her. Well, I did what she asked for, but there's no power in that. So if you take the case that in that given moment, it doesn't invalidate your whole entire career, but in that given moment, if you recognize that you just didn't cut hair as good as you think you do, and you don't consult as good as you think you do, you have the opportunity to break through your limitations and find out what's beyond those excuses for why it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to. And the other spiritual aspect of it is you're dealing with a woman's crown chakra. You're dealing with her crowning glory. And so you're really dealing with a woman's most important fashion accessory. She can put on a pair of sunglasses if her eyes don't look good. If she's feeling like she's got a double chin, she can wrap a scarf around her neck. But if she doesn't like her hair, that can really make or break her whole entire existence. Bad hair month, never mind a bad hair day. And right. So you're really working with that most personal of accessories, a woman's hairstyle. And if that, all of it isn't combined, isn't a spiritual experience, the ability to really work with a woman when she's her most vulnerable, discussing, her life and her, her hair, you really are missing out on it. And so for me, it's always been a spiritual journey of the quest for the perfect haircut, and that's an interactive thing between myself and the woman, and a transformed salon experience, both for the clients and for the people you have as your teammates and coworkers.
And I loved what you said when the idea that as part of that and being able to really connect and be present, that rather than looking at the client, standing behind them into the mirror, that you turn around and you are actually face-to-face with the client. What a huge compliment to be that present with your client. So we're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll learn a little bit about David's vision for the future. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Here's the thing about beauty. It's pretty. At AmericanMadeBeauty.com, we're all about the pretty, making it easy for you to find what makes your beauty shine. We have essentially everything you need, and AmericanMadeBeauty.com celebrates brands that were created right here in the U.S. of A. Imagine everything you need from the best hair, skin, and nail products to makeup and even the tools, because it's all about pretty at AmericanMadeBeauty.com. We also think you're pretty important, so visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com. Browse, buy, learn. AmericanMadeBeauty.com.
When you're looking for bedding, department store prices can shock you. Well, be shocked no more. Sell steak cheap, not cheap state. That's the motto of Anna's Linens. Although they don't sell steak, they do sell the best bedding, bath, and home decor items. They strive to provide their merchandise at extreme value to their customers, and they do it. Great everyday prices on everything and military discounts. Plus, if you visit them online, they have clearance items and internet specials. Visit them online now at HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
We're looking for a few good American beauty manufacturers who want to increase their brand in an exclusive credentialed category. If you're an American company who has conceived, designed, and bottled brands that are all about pretty, then we're pretty sure we're talking about you. And we're pretty sure you should be on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. This beauty website focuses on entrepreneurs and beauty startups as well as established brands. If it's pretty, we want to see it, and we want to sell it on AmericanMadeBeauty.com. To learn how you can be part of AmericanMadeBeauty.com, visit AmericanMadeBeauty.com now.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
You're listening to Radio AMB on HealthyLife.net. I'm Patty Schmucker, and I'm here with David Kinigson of David K. Salon and Academy and Mode IQ. And we've been talking about his amazing career and some of the innovative techniques and approaches that he's used to be able to set his business apart. David, tell us a little bit about what's happening right now that you're most excited about in your business.
We are creating what we call Mode IQ educational videos, and they're based on neuroeducational learning principles. And so we recognize that people do not have a lot of time to waste on sitting in front of a video and watching a person do a haircut for an hour and a half. So we've created these quick mode educational videos that is a whole entire haircut in 9 to 12 minutes, sped up. And then when we get to the crucial moments where we need to teach you a particular technique, we slow it down, we split the screen, we have the bullet points, we have a voiceover. And when you can see it, when you can read it, and when you can hear it, you will learn, you will impact your ability to learn. And so our Mode IQ educational videos are very exciting. It's also as I mentioned earlier, the 30th anniversary of the Haircutter's Handbook, and it's coming out as an online edition as well as a hard copy handbook. And I'm really honored to have endorsements by some of the greatest people in our industry, from Dwight Miller to Eden Sassoon, Ilan Sassoon, Howard McLaren, Marianne McCormick, Van Council, and Edward Tricomi all gave me wonderful, kind words for this edition of the book. So we're very excited about those two things right now at the David K. Space.
That's great, and congratulations. It's quite a career, but to be able to have your peers that also have that acknowledgement. You worked with Ilan Sassoon as well for a period of time. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. I worked with Ilan for 2 years. I was his first celebrity hire for a company called Klinger Advanced Aesthetics, and before I left, I was their creative director in Boca Raton, and I was also the creative director in the Dallas Salon. So that was pretty cool.
Great.
I've gotten to know Vidal and Ilan and Eden Sassoon. So I'm really honored to be a part of the Vidal Sassoon family.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and we've had an opportunity to have both Eden and Ilan on the show. Tell us a little bit. You are mingling and rubbing shoulders with the elite of the industry. What lies ahead? What do you think is some of the things that the industry as well as consumers can expect to see as far as trends and fashion?
Well, the industry right now, professionally speaking, are torn between the salon team experience and the immediacy, the immediate gratification of being a solo hairdresser. And we're all aware that social media is impacting how we do things. Mm-hmm. And it's really impacting it in ways that we're only discovering. Everything from great knowledge is at our fingertips, right on through to people who shouldn't be teaching are burning their hair off, showing you how to do hair, and they have no business doing that. So it's a brand new infancy of education through social media, and everyone's being inspired by that, which was like our last presentation for Intercoiffure. Think before you post. Social media is the new street. The street ain't the street no more. Right. People are on social media, and we took our inspiration from that. So just like everything else, trends swing one way and then the other, and when the smoke clears, you have a new paradigm, a new experience of our industry, both professionally and as consumers. But something that's always going to remain constant is that people want to look beautiful, feel beautiful, and people are going to need education, because information is knowledge and power. And it's just how they're going to get their information and how they're going to get their style influences. And so we use our Instagram accounts and we use our collections to show our consumer, our guests and our clients, where we get our inspiration from, the history. It's important to get your inspiration. When a woman sits down in your chair and asks you, what's new? What would look good on me? It's not just enough to get your information from what's trending, or what I like to call the zeitgeist, or the everything. But it's really important for our young professionals to know the history of where something comes from. And that's an important part of what we teach. So I don't only like to see what's trending in areas like movies, art, music, literature, social media, or I also turn to the 60s, the 70s, the 20s, and, the Gatsby era. Mm-hmm. And then I look to see what my concepts are that want to emerge to translate into today's woman.
And so all of that is brought together, and it sounds like you're constantly reinventing those fundamental concepts, but with a real eye for the future, which sounds really exciting.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Patty. You want to stand with your feet in two worlds, bridging the current reality. Mm-hmm. It's not just enough for a woman to go, here's a picture this is what I want. Or a hairdresser to open up a magazine and go, I think this will look good on you. So what's trending is only one aspect of it. And then there's what you know about a person's face and their beauty, and you get who they are and their sense of style. And you reach back in time and you pull a reference from something in the past, gives it substance. So when you can bridge that kind of historical relevance with what's trending, you really and you do it from the point of view of what will really fulfill that woman's expression of style, something new is about to happen. At your chair, something new is about to happen. So when we come out with a collection like Beach Beat Boys and Bond Girls, where we were inspired by legacy haircuts from the 60s and icons like the beachiness of Farrah Fawcett or the glamour of Bond Girls and the androgyny of David Bowie and Ruby Rose, what happens is you come up with ideas that can then translate to the needs of today's woman, whether she be a 16-year-old girl or a 40, 50, or 60-year-old woman, because to be a woman today is to be, really, it's a glorious time to be a woman. And we like to have these ideas translate in such a way that empowers each individual woman to develop her own couture style.
That's great. Well, David, it's just been an honor to have you with us today. If someone wanted to learn more about you and get involved with some of your education, how do they reach out to you?
Well, they can either find me at the David K Space, and the phone number is 561-340-6400, and they can book an appointment for a haircut. They can talk to me or my education team about Mode IQ education for the thinking hairdresser. People will be able to pick up the Haircutter's Handbook. And I would like to do, please follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I do want to do a shout-out because on February 5th, 2017, Independent Academy Sessions is putting on a pure education class on February 5th where I'm a featured speaker, and I'm really honored to be included on a team where Eric Charles Makatoff is presenting Charlie Price from Sheer Genius, Albie Mulcahy, who's a brilliant dry hair cutter, and Robert Lobetta, who is just famous for being the coolest avant-garde dude around. And it's February 5th here in Florida, Independent Academy Sessions, and I hope people find me on Instagram, David Kinigson, Kinigson, and I thank you very much, Patty.
Thank you
for
very much.
Great conversation.
Great. Well, that'll do it for us today. Stay tuned next week when we have our session with a chiropractor to tell us how hairdressers and anyone in the beauty industry can do their practice and stay physically healthy. Have a great holiday season, and this is Radio AMB, where we think pretty is pretty important in all things in beauty.